Some of you have been asking how to check for backlash, calculate the amount of backlash that's in your Phlatprinter 3. So this morning I'm going to go through the procedure that I use, and I have a couple of different interfaces that I'm using. Mach 3 is with a different screen set here is one of them, and of course there's the USB controller that we're going to show you how to use. But one of the very first things that you need to do is make sure that the acceleration properties on your Phlatprinter are set so that you're not trying to ramp up very quickly, because you want your machine not to slip. And to do this, we go to the file settings on the USB controller, and we go to the axes setting, and then we have initial speed and acceleration values. This one is set right now for 35, but really you want this to set something like around 2 or 3, and you can hear the machine slowly come up to speed. So when we're going to do these backlash tests, we don't want any slippage showing up, because we're measuring thousandths of an inch. So I would put this down to 2, for example. Let's go back to our settings. On our x-axis, so that the machine ramps up slowly. If we're using the Mach 3 controller, we would go to the motor tuning section and set the x-axis, and you want a nice long slope, probably even more so than what I have here. So this is just to make sure that the axes do not slip. Now the next thing we're going to want to use, I just pick a yardstick from Lowe's, and I've cut it off. This is about an 8-inch yardstick, and this is what I'm going to use to measure with, because it's a nice hard surface. So one of the things I want to do is mark on the end of the yardstick a mark on it, so that when I measure, because this is not cut off exactly flat, that I'm measuring from the same point each time, and that's pretty important. The next thing we're going to be talking about is we need a set of digital calipers, and these are calipers that I bought from Lowe's for about 30 bucks, and they work quite well for doing these kind of measurements. So let's go over to the Phlatprinter, and before I leave the interface here, the way we're going to move the x-axis is through the MDI interface. And we can go over here and type a command like, for instance, G1 is the move command, and I want to move the x-axis, and I'm going to want to move the x-axis 1/10 of an inch, so 0.1. And then if you want, you can specify the feed rate, which is probably a good idea. We'll do a feed rate of 10. And when we issue that command, then the machine will move 1/10 of an inch. What we're going to be doing is measuring 1/10 of an inch at a time, and we're going to do this about in one direction. We're going to do it about 4 times and record the readings each time. And once we've got a fairly, what we know is to be a consistent set of readings, we can average those out, and then we're going to do a reverse direction and go the other way. That very first time that you reverse directions and you get a measurement, that is when you subtract that from the average that you've previously gotten from your forward moves, that's going to be your amount of backlash that you're going to want to enter into the backlash correction values. So let's move over to the Phlatprinter, and we will take our ruler that we mark, and you can use MDF but use something that is hard, has a hard surface, because you want to get an accurate reading here. If you use foam, you can't measure thousandths of an inch, because the foam is not good for that. So if you notice, I've also got a mark right here on the front of my Phlatprinter. The purpose of this is a reference point, and I guess to start out here, I need to get the Phlatprinter turned on and reset. Let's just make sure that let me get out of the way of the camera and move over here. Let's just make sure that well, hello. It's not moving, folks. What is going on here? Oh, I know what it is. There we go. Alright, so now that we know that we're moving, what we want to do next is to get a zero reference. So we're going to hold the edge of the caliper on the edge of the machine, and then we're going to push the measurement needle back till it hits this little mark that we've got on our yardstick. From that point, we want to zero our reading so that when we move the axis and then do this again, we'll get an accurate reading. Now, the first couple of times that I move it, we could be getting the effects of backlash. So I want to make sure that I move in. I move the yardstick in one direction to get it started, get any backlash out, so that I've got a good reference point. I'm going to zero this, and then I'm going to go over to the MDI interface and type in my command, which is move the x-axis. I got my keyboard over here. Okay, we're going to move the x-axis G1 X 0.1 feed rate 10, and let's just go over here and see what happens when we do this. Okay, we just supposedly moved 1/10 of an inch. Now, we may not actually read 1/10 of an inch, but let's see what we've got. So, very carefully, I've got 0.134. So that's just a little different than exactly 0.1. But at these values that we're moving, that's kind of hard to measure anything closer than that. Okay, so we want to do this about 4 times. So what I'll do now is I'll zero this. We know we got 1.34 as one of our readings, and then we will go back and issue another MDI command. Maybe. So I'm going to have to go over here. G1 X 0.1 F10. Well, why didn't it work? Let's try this again. What's going on? Let's try a different screen set. The screen set is probably causing me trouble. Alright, let's go with this guy. Reset. And then G1 X 0.1. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. This is something I keep forgetting, and it's very important that you need to clear the X-axis. I've just loaded a different screen set here, but you need to zero the X-axis before you do these moves. So we've already moved it 1/10 of an inch, and when I tell it to do another 1/10 of an inch, it doesn't want to move because it thinks it's already there. So we need to clear that. Then we can type in G1 X 0.1 feed rate 10, and now it will move. So now we should be able to measure that. And it's exactly 0.1 inches. Okay, now I probably didn't have that zero to start with, so we need to go back here, zero the X, and now we can issue the command again for G1 X 0.1 F10. Okay, now we've just moved 1/10 of an inch again. So we're going to zero this. And we're minus 0.102. Okay, now we're going to reverse directions. Unfortunately, this machine's probably not going to have any backlash because I have backlash enabled, so we need to probably turn that off to do a measurement. So let me go back over here to Mach. Let's go into configuration. Let's go into backlash and let's disable backlash, because we're wanting to measure backlash and not my corrected values. Okay, so we've done this 2 times. Again, we're gonna clear this. We're gonna zero the X-axis, and then we're gonna input. I don't know how you get this thing to take these values. Here we go. And then we're going to move the X-axis again. So there we are. Okay. Each time we're moving in the same direction. And I'm 0.094 this time. So okay, so roughly, let's do this one more time just to make sure that these values are fairly consistent. Oops, got to zero this. Then we're going to do this. Okay, now we've moved the X-axis. We had our calipers zeroed, so now we can get a fresh reading. .108. So 0.1 is pretty close to being right on the money. Now we're going to reverse directions. Again, we're going to zero our calipers. We're going to zero Mach 3 or the USB controller, either way. We're going to 0 the x-axis. But this time, instead of going 0.1, we're going to go negative 0.1. So, G1 again is the move command. X is the axis we want to move. Minus 0.1 is the distance we want to go. And our feed rate, of course, is 10. And this time, we're going to move the yardstick in instead of out. And this is the critical measurement, because this is the first time that we have reversed directions. So this is going to be the telling point that's going to tell us how much backlash we have. And I've got 0.092 instead of 0.1. So that is not a whole lot of backlash there. That's about 0.008. So let's go ahead and zero our axis out. We're going to do this. We're going to clear the x-axis again. We're going to do this a few times because we want an average to make sure that we're getting accurate measurements. So we're going to do this again. Okay, we just moved, and what did I do? Oh shoot! Let's see where I'm at here. I'm not. I think I forgot to 0 this. No, I did. 0.084. So actually, this is a normal move. So in this direction, my axis is moving 0.084, and we measured 0.092 with the backlash. So 84 from 92 is actually the amount of backlash that we have. So it's still looking like it's about 8 thousandths. So we'll 0 this and do one more time just to make sure everything is moving the way we want it to, and then we'll reverse directions again. Okay. Whoa, shoot. Yeah. Well, that was not good. I just fouled everything up when I hit the button on my keyboard. So now I can't measure my backlash. So, well, let's see. We still moved in a negative direction, so we're okay. Let me just re-0 my caliper. And alright, we're moving another 1/10 of an inch. Take another measurement. Yeah, I thought I messed it up. 0.062. Okay, we're still going. We're just going to do this again because my calipers got messed up. So let's 0 this. 0 this. And enter this. Okay. This should be a good reference now. .098. So it looks like that's a pretty consistent reading. 0.098. Now we're going to reverse directions again. But first of all, let's 0 the calipers. Let's 0 the x-axis. And this time we're going to go in the other direction. We're going to go forward. So G1, X 0.1, feed rate 10. And .092. 0.092 from what do we have? 0.084. So the difference between 0.0084 and 0.0092 would be our backlash. So the next time that we move, zero that. Zero this. Do this one more time. Bring this around here. Minus 0.1. So okay, so it's 92 was 0.092, and the difference is from 0.1. So it looks like it's about 8 thousandths. I thought I measured about 14 thousandths, but earlier on this machine, but maybe my backlash is only 8 thousandths now. It seems like it has improved or gotten better for some reason. Or maybe it's just because I'm on a different spot on the rollers. This is kind of a surprise to me. I thought the machine was set up, it's been cutting circles perfectly, so I had 14 thousandths in there before, but now I'm seeing about an 8 thousandths difference, so I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe I could get away with setting my backlash to 8 thousandths. So yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll cut a test circle of a 2-inch or a 1-inch, preferably maybe even a 1-inch circle, and make sure that the small circles come out like circles, and if they do, then our backlash is set properly. So to do this, we would need to go back to our settings now, go to our configuration, go to backlash, and it looks like we've got 8 thousandths here this time, and we're going to enable it. And if we were doing this in the USB controller, we would put it in here as 008. And did I set that right over here in mock? Configuration, backlash, nope. 0.008. There we go. So now we've established our backlash settings, and we need to load in some circles and make some tests. So we'll be right back because I need to get a file ready for that. So we're just going to pause the recording for a moment here. Okay, we are back. I've loaded in a circle and square test, and I had to take off my Sharpie router attachment and put on my laminate router so we could run this test. And what I've done is I've got a couple of things here I'll zoom in and show you here. I've already cut the circle with the backlash protection set up on it. And if you notice how did you hear the sound that the steppers make when I go from one, when I start the machine up? See how it goes, as it goes, starts up slowly and ramps down slowly? That's how you want your machine set up to run. None of this quick jerk going from 0 to 60 in a tenth of a second. Okay, so Let me take the camera off the tripod here for a moment. And let's go over here and see if we can get a picture of the circle that I just cut. Now, if we're going to find backlash, we're going to see it right here, and we're going to see it right up here at the top, because that's where it reverses directions. For example, this was without backlash. You can see, you know, it's not a lot, but it's noticeable. See right there at the bottom, and again right up here at the top. That's backlash. This is with the backlash correction. So that's what you're wanting to achieve. You want to get rid of that little notch that's up here. And this may be severe, you know, on your machine. You can actually have two halves of circles, one up here and one down here, if you have a lot of backlash. So